boss. Racks up, on a 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 racks up. I'm going hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. Racks up on them, racks up on them. I can take a pack, flip it back and make a stack on them. Ask around, they tell you Peezy how I would have back on them. And I guarantee you got that bling king, we back on them. I'm first the strongest pack. I'm bringing rap back. White boy from the M-Town, loud pack. Get high rapper, hot times master. Verified Twitter, certified trapper. Getting money, that's all I do. So stone, I forgot a bird of blue. Dreaming of another dollar, man, I thought you knew. I grind harder than your average rapper. True. Racks up, on a 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 racks up. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me.
They won't blink, I'ma give it to them. Show them that work, I've been through it. Get that bread, should've been new it. About that life, me enjoy it. Coop 6 4 door 7, going hard since 07. Fingers over, he said never. Now 37 all that 7, new rockin', I'm poppin'. Just here niggas, I'm mopping. None of you niggas is options. I proceed with caution. High off that oxy. Blood levels is toxic. Full of hoes like Jocelyn. Eating up my sausage. Boost the ass up insane. Showing ass, running up a tag. Pop a tag, throw it in the bag. Not worry about cash, I get that fast. Give it to me, they paychecks. I flip that, they pay that. I hit that, display that. Blink money got that comeback.
Racks up, on a 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 racks up. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches, they coming with me. I'm throwing hundreds, you throwing 50s, these bad bitches.
T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
In a world full of mundane podcasts, one show rises from the ashes. Critics are calling it outrageous. Podcasts, as we know it, will never be the same again.
Crazy. Welcome to the show.
Tonight, prepare for an epic journey where every step could be your last. The destination, a place where no maps can show. The mission, to rise above the rest. The danger, unimaginable. The reward, a shit ton of weed and laughs. It's going to blow your mind. This is 2 Speed Bloods. So sit back, turn up the volume, grab your weed, get ready to light those bloods.
are tuned in to the highest podcast around. It is To Be Blunt, brought to you by 2B Blunt Productions, and of course, America's largest and only cannabis podcast network. It is PodConX. Tonight, we are powered by Say Trees. Say Trees, who sent me a few more of these THCA vanilla runs infused pre-rolls for me to use for tonight. So shout out Say Trees, hooking it up. Tonight we have a lot of ground to cover. Special guests tonight, Kristen and Lou. You already know their faces. They are here tonight to talk about the big hearing we had right here in Connecticut that could possibly change the future of cannabis in Connecticut. And Kristen actually testified live today at the hearing. So we're going to have them both on, talk a little about that, play you a little clip from the testimony and more. So don't go anywhere for that. And of course, in the main event, he is a man who is well-traveled. And that is, putting it lightly, actually, Michael Early. He is the co-publisher of Northwest Leaf Magazine, Oregon Leaf Magazine, Alaska Leaf Magazine, Maryland, California Northeast. He's got his own wellness line, Sakaya Wellness, Body High, Extract Company. You already know. He's going to be live here tonight. I see y'all in the chat, Instagram popping. If you're on YouTube, everyone else, I see Donna Taylor in the chat. You already know it is 2B1. And we got to get this thing popping. I got so much to do, and just starting with weed. So you already know what that means. We got to definitely spark something. So I got this Vanilla Runs THCA pre-roll. Did I not open this one? I did not, but this one I did, yes. You already know, this shit's fire. THCA crystals inside. Grown by Say Trees themselves. I'm about to light this thing up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That shit is just so tasty. There's no comparison to sparking that J, that blunt, whatever it is you're looking forward to. There's just no comparison. So basically, you guys are sparking that shit up too. I got Blue Pass the entire smoking if you got it. You already know, but make sure you got your weed sparked, your concentrates ready. This whole thing's about to be crazy today. That's my motherfucking madam and my poor Lou. She got me choking. Donna Taylor, what up? Let's go right into this thing. Just lit the mimosa, Jay. There we go. See, now we're talking. You got the mimosa. I got the white runts. Let's get this thing going. I got to start. Just a real quick rant. All right. This is some dumb shit, but I got it. Y'all know, if anyone who knows me, been following the show for 3 years, I have like an obsession with Crocs. And I know that's an unpopular thing because a lot of people honestly don't care for Crocs. Like, they just won't wear them. They think they're ugly, whatever. For me, comfort rules. And I love my fucking Crocs. I probably have like 6 pairs. No fucking lie. I got the furry line slipper ones. I got the weed ones. I got the plain black ones. I got my slides I got right now. My slip-ons, y'all. I mean, I'm rocking Croc all day. But I think I've just finally met the point where the line's been crossed. Because sometimes, I don't know what it is, but Crocs be going too fucking far. They be doing too fucking much. right? Crocs equals shower shoes. This is kind of like shower shoes. But listen, dead ass though. I mean, this is the thing. Like they usually release like themed Crocs. Like I got the weed themed Crocs. I got like the hemp leaves on them and shit. They got all the Star Wars and Marvel and all this shit. But there's like I seen something that literally just blew my motherfucking mind. Blew my mind. I gotta show you these. I got an email yesterday talking about this big release for Crocs. Not only did I get an email, I got a fucking text message too. And it's talking about Margaritaville Crocs. And I'm like, okay, I like margaritas, but Margaritaville Crocs, what the fuck? And I clicked the link and I gotta show y'all this motherfucking absurdity that is Margaritaville Crocs. Check this out. What the fuck is that? There's a bird. There's a full-on bird. A bird on the Croc band. You have these giant ass, what I can only imagine is a lime and like I don't know, like a cube, baby, an ice cube, or is that like a salt? I don't know what the fuck it is, but this is straight up the ugliest pair of fucking Crocs I've ever seen in my life. Ever in my life. No fucking lie. I took one look at these things and I was like, you know what? I might have to renounce and sell all my Crocs. I'm about to go to Facebook Marketplace and list all of them up there because I swear this is embarrassing. As a Croc lover, this is absolutely embarrassing. Margarita themed Crocs, Margaritaville. Who gives a shit about Margaritaville? What, those aren't going to sell. Those not going to sell anything. Am I right? I mean, there's no fucking way that anyone's buying a pair of Margaritaville themed Crocs. I don't give a shit how high you are. Not one shit. I'll tell you right now. So I just had to share that with you because I was absolutely appalled and both shocked that they would even go out of their way to release such a thing. Now, I mean, call me crazy, but that's just my personal opinion. So on that note, I just had to share that craziness because I was honestly 100% shocked. So we got the weed lit. We got the themed Crocs. My joint went out, motherfucker. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kristen and Lou join us, talk about today's hearing in Connecticut. Don't go anywhere. It is 2 be blunt. Have you ever walked out of the bar at 2:30 in the morning and were too drunk for a smoke ride?
Man, I'm drunk as a skunk.
Have you ever wanted to hit a back road but had no way to get around and no car?
I'm sick of sitting in this damn house.
Have you ever wanted to use a rideshare service to travel to and from the airport but realized that you wouldn't be able to medicate?
I forced my wife to drive so I can get high.
Well, try the new service, Lifted, where you can smoke and medicate in a worry-free environment. Contact us at www.getlifted.com or 1-800-GET-LITTY.
Warning. Watching this show might give you contact high.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
It's To Be Blunt with Peezy.
To be blunt. Yeah. I'm right to that shit. This is tearing up my inside, yo. My throat hurts. Okay. Yo, what up, Mallory? Buffet fam? About to bring in a member of the fam you already know. They've been on the show multiple times. So many times. And right now they're making a big stab in Connecticut legislature when it comes to new bills coming out. I want to bring on special guests, Kristen and Lou, joining me live right here. Kristen, Lou, welcome to the show.
I just want to point out that my man ranted about Margaritaville Crocs for so long that his joint went out.
That's how appalled I was. Listen, It's like your
The
favorite
bird.
sports team,
Bird on it.
ugliest jersey of all time. It's just like, and then it's disgusting. I was like, that's what it felt like
It
for
was
me. Follow
disgusting.
sports. It's disgusting.
I mean, maybe you want to strut around like Jimmy Buffett. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're a super fan. Maybe that's
Like a
the audience.
Hawaiian
Maybe there was a
shirt.
pre-order. Maybe they get. He gets people to go on a cruise. I bet he could get people to buy some ugly ass like
Crocs.
tropical looking Crocs. Like weird neon. Put a bird on it. Shit.
That I put a bird on it, That's exactly the part that got me was the bird, not the large, oversized, like 2-inch tall lime or anything on the foot. Just the bird. It was the bird that threw me off.
Like the bird is too much.
The umbrella.
The bird is absolutely too much, 100%. But nonetheless, moving on, we got big things to talk about here. We have a big day in Connecticut. And everyone's, everything went well. We had a big hearing today. It seems like it was a very positive environment from what I did see, the clips I did watch. It seems like it went really well. So I'd love to hear more about the hearing today, what brought it on, what the bills that we guys are supporting. I know Kristen had a pretty awesome testimony today live, and I'm going to play you guys a clip of that, so don't go anywhere for that. And but there's so many things happening and so many pieces and so many different parts of these bills coming out and sections. If you could just, Kristen, maybe give me the lead in here on what happened today at the hearing and what this is all about.
Okay, yeah. So some of this might be like, well, anyway. So the reason that these came up is it is the start of the legislative session kicked off, I believe, January 10th or January 4th. And so new bills are being presented, and some of them go before public hearing if they, are being considered, quite frankly. So, a bunch of legislators get together, they write their bills, and then this is the point in time where they'll start to go up for public hearing. Not every bill makes it to this point. But today, kind of as Mike D'Agostino called it, it was Cannabis Day in Hartford. So there were 6 specific bills. I know it's ridiculous, but it's 6 specific bills were up today, and they were all related to cannabis legislation in Connecticut. I would say there was only one that was, and even someone that was co-sponsoring it said, we have a very small likelihood of this passing. It all but recriminalized it. So I think that one was more for splash. There may be elements of that one that get pulled out and allocated, but that was ridiculous. But the other 5, I would say it was, for the most part, these were favorable ones. It was there were some testimony that was a little ridiculous, and we can get into that. Some folks were really saying some kind of goofy things. But I have to say, a lot of people showed up and had good things to say that were helpful to educate the people that passed these bills, because you could tell when they were sitting up there, they had no clue. They really don't. They just have no clue. They didn't even know that there were supply issues in Connecticut, and that's been in the news multiple times.
Not a shocker by any means, though. I mean, that just shows you, we've all known about this since we pretty much went legal, how bad the system is right now. It's so bad.
Kristen, I had a question for you. Is it possible to use Narcan to treat a THC overdose?
So
is that a thing that can be done?
That was
can
an
we do that?
question asked today. One of the legislators, Vince Candelora, he's the I believe he's the co-chair, and he's on the Republican delegation. But yeah, there was, Aaron Doolittle said it recently. She's like, I've never heard overdose mentioned so many times in relation to weed. It's like the most ridiculous thing. They just kept saying overdose. And then at one point he's like, would Narcan be effective there? I'm like, you could have heard a pin drop. Like, what? No.
Man, it's a good thing I wasn't in that room. Oh my God. I wouldn't have been able to hold back.
What?
That's the fact that
are you serious?
Brought up so many
Actually, I take it back. It got quiet for a second, and then you could hear someone in the audience or whatever just be like, you know what I mean? Like there was reaction in some way. It was like ridiculous. It was just ridiculous.
That's the most ignorant comment of all time. Probably.
Correct. And so that's a reflection of like some of the people that write and pass these bills is they genuinely believe that a person can have a fatal overdose and require resuscitation from Narcan because they ate a gummy. Like he really thought that.
Oh my God.
I seen it on OAN. I seen it. I seen it on that Fox News.
Well, speaking of news, Lou, you yourself were just on the news talking about this whole legislature with the ombudsman and all that stuff. I mean, you played like a pretty big role in pushing these things around and getting things in the ball rolling. I say both of you, honestly, obviously have been doing a tremendous job. Being out there and getting these things going and honestly just looking out for the people who matter, which is the patients, So Lou, I mean, you're killing it too, man. You were just on the news. That's a pretty big thing, man. Now I gotta say, your backdrop here would have been pretty awesome to have while you were on the news.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Peezy, because I wanted to welcome you all to the mansion.
Dude, you big pimpin'.
Yeah, this is the mansion. This is my palatial estate. You may know it as Skrilla Villa.
Skrilla Villa. Do you play piano?
I actually did as a kid, believe it or not, and I can still kind of sort of do it if I need to read from sheet music.
Want to know if you got up and walked towards it on the green screen?
That's gonna take a few more of those pre-rolls that you got there. I think that's
pretending to play the piano behind you.
Yeah. But to get back to the point, because I me, I could go on a tangent all goddamn.
Oh, dude, me too. So, I got ADHD real bad.
So, yeah. First of all, thank you for the kind words on behalf. I mean, I don't want to speak for Kristen, but I mean it feels good to hear that. Before I go any further, I just want to thank Kristen for making her voice heard. And like I said, I think I tweeted, shout out to everybody who testified today, even if we don't see eye to eye. Good on you, for getting out there and making your voice heard when it matters, at a time when it actually matters, because, hopefully they're listening.
Yeah.
The two things that I did written testimonies for 6699 and 6700. 6700 is the hemp grandfathering thing, which I think Kristen's angle on in her testimony. I don't know if you wanted to show a clip of that or something, but I thought the way she framed it was impeccably done through the lens of the patient.
Yeah,
so let's take a look.
Let's give it a play here.
All right, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Our next person is Kristen Souza online.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
please proceed.
All right.
Yeah,
perfect.
you get to watch yourself again.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and Co-Chairs, esteemed member of the committee. My name is Kristen Souza. I am the founder and owner of Sugarleaf Boutique, which is a hybrid boutique located in downtown Middletown. We sell CBD wellness products and gift items. I'm also an elected member of the City of Middletown Democratic Town Committee, and I am on the Middletown Youth Services Advisory Board, treasurer of Project Graduation, and also a Justice of the Peace. And I mention these things not because I am speaking on behalf of those entities, but because there's a lot of conversation around parents and safety of children in use of cannabis, which I wholeheartedly agree, and just wanted to present myself as someone who is a responsible cannabis user and also a parent and involved in the community. I'm mostly here testifying today in support of 6699 as well as 6700. I believe they dovetail together, and my testimony is going a little bit off script today, but as far as 6699 and 6700, the main priority, as mentioned by a few of the previous testimony, is the patients. And there are, I believe Anne Marie testified at one point, there were 50,000 patients, and that has dropped. There has been a lot of conversation from patients and the dispensary owners themselves sending out emails to registered medical patients talking about supply concerns. There's been a reduced amount of flour. There has been reduced production on gummies for patients. And so there have been multiple news articles ranging from CT News Junkie to Connecticut Public Radio, which I myself participated in, where patients are speaking out with real concerns about a lack of supply in the marketplace. So to that, 6700 would help alleviate that concern. I heard a lot of testimony about how it would be detrimental to businesses, and I'm not immune to that. I'm a business owner myself. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Management, but I think that we should be primarily focusing on the experience of the patients in the program. And that is almost 50,000 people that are now vocalizing that they cannot get the medicine that they are accustomed to getting. And so if we as a delegation and as a legislation can make steps to improve that for them, which one would be allowing hemp operators who are ready to go enter the market. I don't perceive that as jumping the line or anything like that. It is in service of medical patients, which in my opinion should be the utmost priority. And with
the utmost priority, mind you. Oh, she's already nailing this whole thing right now, by the way. As off script as you said you were going, I just want to say this feels like you're going right from the script. Like you had this thing ready to go, pulled together, I feel like. Because you were spot on. I would have been stuttering through this whole damn thing.
No, what?
Congratulations.
Which dovetails very well into that. Section 8 of 6699 speaks of a cannabis ombudsman position, which would be an individual, eventually part of a commission, that would be responsible for acting as a mediator between the Department of Consumer Protection and patients who are clearly experiencing concerns with quality and supply issues. And in lieu of going to a department and getting shuffled around, they would have a direct contact who would then act as a liaison between the General Assembly, Department of Consumer Protection, and patients to help create some symbiotic nature between everyone involved and make sure that these issues are resolved quickly. I could tell from some of the commentary from y'all on the committee that some of these concerns about supply, this is probably the first you've heard of it. There's a lot on your desk at all times.
I just want to say, when you called them out there,
I did it nice.
Definitely, you were just like, Pam.
So I took this course one time on how to deliver messaging with politics.
And yeah, well, I'll tell you what, hell of a job.
Times. And this position would help alleviate that. We would have a direct point of contact to go to speak on those things. So I'm good with brevity. So that is really all I had to say. I'm here.
Boom, boom, boom. So excellent job. Excellent
Killed
job.
it.
Killed it. Oh my God. Totally killed it. So let me ask you guys before we get into it, just a couple of questions real quick, because that was tremendous. What in your opinion makes those two bills so important to the cannabis legislature in Connecticut?
Holy moly. I have a lot to say. And I'm gonna try to stay on. I'm gonna try to stay on.
The can of worms here.
You have no script.
I think so. So I think what we can all probably agree on, if you've been a patient in the Connecticut medical program for the last few years, you know that we haven't exactly been able to count on our regulator to go to bat for us patients. We haven't really been able to have a high degree of confidence that our interests are being considered before those of out-of-state corporations. Frankly, I see it as a dereliction of duty to some degree, and it's all in service to a regulatory capture scheme that has 100% of the market share owned by 4 out-of-state corporations. So why do I say all that? Because in American democracy, the concept of checks and balances, right? It's a cornerstone of our Constitution. So I think there needs to be some other entity. If DCP is in for the long haul with cannabis in Connecticut, then there needs to be some other entity in a different part of state government, not within DCP, to sort of keep them honest, because we can't expect that. We've tried. We've gone through all the proper channels. They've made it very clear what their positions are. And it's all very obvious as to what's going on. So the ombudsman idea is basically just somebody who's going to be able to hear what patients have to say, to actually listen to patients, correlate the response that they get, and say, hey, I talked to 100, however many people, and I heard this 37% of the time. That's pretty significant. Or 60% of the time. That kind of information, that kind of feedback, because they're not willing to do that themselves, because they don't care. They don't need to. So someone's, gotta at least start trying to hold their feet to the fire. So that's important. And another reason that we're in a position that we're in, like Kristen said in her testimony, is constricting the market to the same 4 suppliers means that choice is low, and artificial scarcity comes into play. What we're seeing, the reallocation of product for adult use versus medical, that kind of thing.
Right.
One of the ways you combat that is by increasing competition in the marketplace. You know what I mean? You have to at least try, to make it look like you're not sealing things off for those 4 corporations. At least give some people who are already up and running in the state and have been doing this for a while, give them a shot at it. You know what I mean? And they're not jumping the line, all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Look at Ben Zach's talking about, oh, no jumping the line. Yeah, because you got yours already, Ben. Like, for real. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy
that
to
was a
sit there from the
pointed
ivory
quote, I
tower
might add. I jotted that down during other testimony. That was a pointed quote.
Unbelievable. Dude.
That is unbelievable.
So that, those 2 things, at least from my opinion, that's kind of why they matter. We have to open up this market. You know what I mean? We have to open up this market. And, D'Agostino said, I read the summary of the discussion about enforcement, enforcement against all these gas stations selling blah, blah, blah. And the end of the article, the quote from D'Agostino is, so I think we can agree the easy solution here is that you can only buy THC products in a regulated dispensary. That's it. I said, cool, Mike. I'd be glad to do that if you opened up the market. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it's supposed to work, So you can have it. You can have it that way, Mike. You can have it that way. But you have to open up the market. You can't just give the entire game away to these same incumbent players. So that's my rant. That's what I had to get off my chest. Thank you for humoring me. As you can see from her testimony, Kristen is a lot more palatable than some dude yelling at you like this. So
from his mansion.
Yeah. From the East Wing. And as you can see, it's still daylight here because the sun shines 24 hours a day, baby.
That's it. Kristen, any final words?
No.
Okay.
No, thanks for having us on.
Perfect. Listen, I appreciate you guys coming on here. Oops, there we go. And listen, we'll talk soon. Keep up the fucking fantastic work. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Michael Early joining us live. Thanks again, Lou and Kristen.
Little blunt, big sack, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you got match, bitch, better tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. Fuck a bowl, big jugs, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you ain't got loud, don't tap in. Tap, tap, tap. I got an oversized bag. I don't mean to brag. I can't help it, I'm just oozing all this swag. Rolling zigzags, popping these tags. Smoking with me will leave you waving white flags. Get high, rapper, you can try to keep up. You so high, now your heart speeds up. Walking with me will leave you doing push-ups. Sipping that purple stuff out of double cup. Burning on the FaceTime, man, I do this full time. You gon' wish it's halftime. Said you only try it one time. Used to be your pastime, now it'll be your bedtime. Everybody thinks they can smoke me out. Nope. I won't never quit, you can't tap me out. Nope. I know what you're about, you just want this clout. Bitch. Roll another bitch, watch me cause a fucking drought line. Little rough, big sack, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you got match, bitch, better tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. Fuck a bowl, big jug, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you ain't got loud, don't tap in. Tap, tap,
if you
tap
ain't
in.
got balls, then bitch tap out. I tap in cause I can and you tapping for the clout. I don't smoke weed, but my presence is potent. My name in their mouth, yeah, that's why they choking. Hey yo, Peezy, everybody be like, yo, she think she it. I'm that 187 rapper killing bitches when I spit. If you wanna witness one of the greatest, one of the realest, no need to look further cause yes, I'm one of the illest. Label one of the hottest, I'm the GOAT in my city. So don't you ever disrespect me, don't do that. Don't let my looks fool ya. My boys will run through you like a round of applause. Get clap, clap, clap. Yeah, I'm cute in the face and I'm slim in the waist. Second to no one, bro. I'm always winning the race. Mention my name in the streets, they gon' say she crazy. I'm psychotic on the mic, but you could call me lady.
Little blunt, big sack, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you got match, bitch, better tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. Fuck a bowl, big jug, bitch, tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. If you ain't got loud, don't tap in. Tap, tap, tap.
Bringing you the highest guests in cannabis. It's To Be Blunt with Peezy. Bringing you the high.
To Be Blunt, we are back. Got fat fingers with these buttons today. Or I'm just high from this goddamn joint. Let's get ready here. Very special guest here coming in. Michael Early, the man himself. I got to tell you the backstory. I met this man at MJ BizCon randomly in the Hall of Flowers. And he sat down across from me and we started having a conversation. And his whole story is, wow, he is a man who's been around in the game. So I want to bring him in and let me introduce to you Mr. Michael Early, or as he told me to call him, just Early.
How y'all doing tonight?
Just early,
baby. Just like Sting, me and him. Like this.
Just one word now. That's it. You just drop the first name and you're just early.
Just early.
And I'm guessing you're just never late either, right?
There's actually a story behind that, of course. I am a fourth generation printer. Grew up in a factory. People say, like, you know, you can tell a guy who has ink in his veins. I got ink in my veins. It's like I've been at this print thing since I was like 5 years old. And our biggest clientele is educational institutions. So I thought, you know, early's cool. Probably a little more chill than, you know, my teachers. Although I'm sure there are probably, I would love to know what percentage of teachers smoke weed, you know? I bet it's a pretty high percentage, but I don't know. Anyway,
I tell you what, coming up and, you know, going to school and shit, I've always felt like you could always tell which teachers were stoners. You always had like that one teacher in your semester that was just like, all right, guys, so today we're going to go over English. You know, and it was like, we're in high school. What is this?
We had a cat named Butch Ashman. Butch, if you're listening to this, peace out, dude. I miss you. Butch was a Vietnam vet, and he definitely had some issues from Vietnam, and definitely smoked weed because, I mean, we definitely smoked weed with our teacher in high school. I mean, there's no doubt. We used to go to Butch's house and smoke out, you know.
He was a teacher at your school?
Oh, yeah. And we went to his house regularly and smoked weed, you know.
What?
And then better than that, it's even better. So there was a maintenance person, Linwood Tillage. Linwood was amazing. And he drove the school bus sometimes. Linwood definitely was selling weed in our high school. And I sold weed to Linwood. So,
oh my God.
So yeah, in my high school, weed was pretty damn prevalent. I can really tell you, it was a major source of socialization in our high school. You know, I mean, alcohol was definitely part there, but I mean, I can't tell you how many kids I turned on to smoking weed in high school.
So when you were growing up, you were the guy. Like, you were the guy.
You know, it goes like this. You know, Leaf Magazine, it's an entrepreneurial venture. I was entrepreneurial from the minute I knew what that word meant, you know? Really? And you know, I went to go get my first sack of weed and I paid for it. And I saw the guy had a bigger sack and I asked him how much his sack cost. And I was like, okay, there's a goal for me. I need to get up $110 is what a quarter pound of like Colombian used to cost back in the day.
How much? How much was that?
$10 for a QP. So that came out to like 40 an ounce is what you would sell it for. $10. So pot was nickels and dimes when I grew up. A nickel was $5 and a dime was $10. But what came out to in weight was a dime was like a quarter ounce and a nickel was an eighth. And We used to do it with film vials. Kodak film vial was the measuring device for cannabis. So
that was the official one.
Yeah, like a single Kodak vial was like an eighth, basically. And if you look at an eighth of weed today, it's about you could get it into a Kodak.
That's
film.
pretty accurate, yeah.
If you guys even know what Kodak is, I know that's like an old word, that Kodak.
No, I mean, as you know, obviously, as a tech guy myself, I'm definitely familiar with Kodak. I remember the old little film canisters. Like, I remember my dad used to carry around the big, the huge old school cameras, like the big old handheld ones.
Mm-hmm.
And he had, tons of those little rolls of film all over the place, So like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't believe that weed, that a quarter pound was $110. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you could get a whole pea for $400. Because you save $10 a quarter if you bought the whole pea. So it's $400 a pound. But you got to remember, this weed was probably 70% seed, 30% cannabis. So you'd get your big bamboo rolling, your Cheech and Chong big bamboo out, and you'd open it up and you'd start grinding it up with your hands. And then you'd have this, you just shake it, and then you get a huge pile of seeds. Problem with that was you ended up with a pound of seeds. What happens when the police come to see your alarm goes off and they happen to find a pound of seeds in a 17-year-old boy's room? Yeah.
Yep.
Woo, woo, woo. My 18th birthday, I got a phone call from my parents. It was not happy birthday, we love you. It was, guess who just left our house? And I said, who? And they said, the Baltimore County Police Department. And I said, no way. And they said, yeah, the alarm went off and they came in that plant that you left behind that we were supposed to kill when it got to be fall and hang upside down in a bag in the garage. Your dad put it in the living room and kept it growing. And so when the police came in to see the alarm, the first thing they see is a 12-foot fucking cannabis plant. And yeah, so then they came back with a search warrant. This is 1979. Cannabis was still pretty damn illegal back then. And thank God it was on my 18th birthday, because I got tried as a minor because of the infraction actually happened the day before my birthday. And so I came back to Baltimore and take the rap and go to do my 1,000 hours of community service for possession of a pound of seeds. That's what that Colombian pot got you to.
This sounds stupid, but why do you think, this probably just got stolen right now, but why do you think like the old school weed had so many seeds? Like, why do you think they couldn't figure out that shit? Like, we figured out how to make an atomic bomb, but we couldn't figure out how to get the fucking seeds out of weed? Like, that's the part I don't get.
Okay, so it's like, now it's like 19, let me see, I was still in high school. It was 1979, I guess. And my sister's friend from college, who I knew was a dealer in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That was a big import place in the
Where they
time.
did the hash bash, right?
Yep. And they used to come in there, and I knew she was coming to visit. And she was in my parents' house for maybe 5 minutes, and I had already rifled her bag, found her bag of weed, and grabbed like a huge nug, which back then I never seen it like this. It came on like a foot. She had like a top. And
like a whole cola.
She had a whole cola. I ripped off one of the buds. I ran over to my best friend's houses and I said, you're not going to believe this. I got that shit from the magazine. I think they call it Sensimelia. And they wouldn't smoke it because it was too green. They said, I ain't smoking that shit. It's too green. It's all, that's not even hard. That's not good. And I said, no. I read in the magazine, we need to smoke this. And man, did we get high. I mean, like, it made that Colombian, and we'd smoke Thai stick, and we'd smoke some pretty good stuff by that time, but nothing like this. And we were like, holy moly, this is it. And right about that time, I went off to college, and I was in New Orleans, and it turned out that sense was being grown all throughout Louisiana on farms throughout that whole area. And I got a hook up to, well, we had like one of my roommates knew a guy named, literally, and this is no bull, his name was Machine Gun Charlie. And the reason they called him Machine Gun Charlie is because he sat out on his like plantation in northern Louisiana, and he would shoot his machine gun at a abandoned car in the field across the street from his house, not in his property.
What?
And he would shoot his car with his machine gun. I went there and did it, so I know it's true. And Machine Gun Charlie would sit there and shoot stuff from his porch, and he grew some killer weed. And we could go up there, and I don't even remember. I think a pound of that stuff cost about a G. It's like $1,000 a pound, and it was like big, fluffy ounces for $1,000 a p. And you take that back to college and sell it for $2 all day long. So it was a great little enterprise we had going there.
Yeah. So this guy's just sitting out on his front porch, just blasting off gunshots.
Machine gun, man, for fun. They said, "Oh, you want to go over and get your weed? Go see Machine Gun Charlie." And I'm like, "Okay." And I went over with Jimmy. Jimmy, may you rest in peace, my homie. Jimmy Cooper took me over there, and his father was on the Supreme Court, like for real. And like his father was like the highest up lawyer, judge you could be. And his little Jimmy was running around hustling like a little G. And yeah, when he got in trouble, it was no big deal because his dad like owned the town. So it was no big deal. We didn't get in trouble down there at all. So yeah.
Machine Gun Charlie's dad ran the town?
No, Jimmy, my hookup, the guy who entered, my little buddy from college. Yeah, he was had a growth hormone issue, and he was only like 4 or 5 or something. Little Jimmy. And kid partied like harder than any person you've ever met, like the biggest person in the littlest body you ever saw. And he raged it till the day he died. He passed pretty early and like in Amsterdam on questionable terms. Yeah.
Oh no, that's not a
good. Yeah, little Jimmy.
I don't know.
I know the first guys we lost from the crew, honestly. But
was that like the ultimate goal for stoners back then, like getting to Amsterdam, because that was like known as like the Mecca? I mean, I know growing up, even for me, like, because obviously when I mean, not to age myself, but weed was still, when I was coming up, it was Beasters and Hennies, and that's that's for the era where I started coming up in with cannabis. So like, but that was still at that time, like everybody was like, Amsterdam, like if you smoke weed, you got to go to Amsterdam. Was that like the way it was still back at that point for you guys?
It's it's funny, it really wasn't on our radar until the Cheech and Chong movie, when they were sitting there eating the space cakes at the the riverboat thing, and they're like, "Man, the more you eat, the hungrier you get. These things are crazy." And then the days were going to nights, were going to days, going to nights, and they're just sitting there eating these space cakes. And so that was when I think I first discovered Am. I was like, all right, what is up with this place? Ironically enough, one of my best friends from the East Coast married a Dutch girl, moved to Amsterdam, and invited me over there for years. And I don't know why I never went. He finally went through a nasty divorce, went over there to let him cry on my shoulder because I went through the same deal. And I was like, hey, I'm going to come over and see him. And I went back like every year for like the next 10 years straight, because I was like enthralled with the place. And honestly, like the quality over there, like over here now, we got way, way better weed than they ever get. But the hash over there is still on point. Like you can't touch the hash they have there.
What was it about? Sorry, what was it about that Amsterdam that enthralled you so much? Like at that time?
Oh my God! When you got over there, it was like, well, first off, like except for in a couple weird places, I never smoked weed in public. Like you just didn't do that. Pot was illegal in the United States. Still, even when I was going there, it was super illegal. Like, Colorado wasn't popping off at all yet. So like, it was like, oh my God, you can go someplace and sit in public and smoke. And then like, there's this one spot, it was like a pancake house, and you could smoke and eat there. Most of the places just sell like coffee, maybe a little Danish or something. But usually it's just like beverages, no edibles, no food. But like, this place you could eat. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting there having a pancake breakfast, smoking a fatty. Like, what could be cooler than that?
What's better than pancakes and weed? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Not much, honestly. And I don't know if you know this, but in Amsterdam, next to every like coffee shop is usually a bakery, or like at the Dampkring, which is like my favorite coffee shop. It was featured in the Ocean 11's movie. They're like smoking out at this table like before they do one of their heists. And there's like the best French fry place you've ever been to in your life, like right next door. Just like, and you walk out and it's the first thing that hits you in the nose. You just go there immediately,
I love French fries.
I mean, Amsterdam is still magic. We were going to launch Amsterdam Leaf. We'd still really love to launch an Amsterdam Leaf. I was fortunate enough to go over there for 2 weeks with Mike Ricker, one of my partners, and Jonah Tacoma from Dab Stars hosted us, basically took us there, introduced us to his friends there. When we met Bobby Black, who's now an integral part of the Leaf organization. And we met Bobby for the first time there. And like I thought I knew a lot about smoking hash till I hung out with Bobby. And then he had like we were with Jair Gavita, who was the founder of the Gavita Light Company. And so we were hanging with some pretty heady folks, and they whipped out some hash that like I'd never seen anything like it. And this was December 19. And we were smoking this pipe, and it had a little screw post in the bottom to push the hash up as you're smoking. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen one like it since then. And I've like, it's on my bucket list of like devices to have. And in Washington, just a hash pipe. It's like a hash straight chamber that you put your hash in, and then you screwed it up sort of from the bottom to kind of aerate it. It was really interesting. And we smoked a bunch of that and drank all Bobby's Heinekens that night. And as I could see his face as we left, so I showed back up the next day, like crating 2 cases of Heineken, which I carried on my bum knee all the way from like the liquor store to Bobby's place. And a case of Heineken costs like $80 in Amsterdam, which made no sense because I was like, they make this stuff here. Yeah, it was like I paid like €60 a case or something for it. And that was like 80 US at the time. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? But I came in there with my heinies, and the hash in Amsterdam, there's like, it's actually the basis for a crime now in Amsterdam. They really didn't have much crime there, but the Moroccans and I think it's like more like the Syrians, or maybe, I'm not sure exactly what nationality, but they're like a competition sort of in the hash market there that's led to more violence that they never really experienced in the Amsterdam area before. This is what I was learning when I was there the last time. But it's just an amazing place. I got to go to the Bulldog. So the Bulldog sort of like was, the premier Walmart-y type. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, Mr. Bulldog, but like they're big. They're all over the place. They're a chain. But I walked into the Bulldog just trying to like talk to them about the magazine and maybe if I get them on as a sponsor, whatever. And the person who was waiting, like clearing tables, she's like, oh, I could help you. And she gave me her email address, didn't think much about it. And then I like went to like Google, like who owned the place when I got back. And it was the owner's daughter of the Bulldog was clearing tables. So I was like, wow, this girl is really down to earth. And she invited us to go see like the Bulldog archive. And I was like, I'm an amateur photographer with the magazine, had my Freshie camera in my hand and went in there and got to shoot the Bulldog spot. And I still have all those pictures, we ran some of them in the Leaf, but, eventually it'll be like a feature article. And, we do really hope to launch an Amsterdam Leaf because, it's where it all started for sort of the whole cannabis. It's how we got to where we are here now. It was them starting that first thing, where you go into a place and buy weed legally. I'm, very involved in the legal cannabis industry now. And it's still to this day, and I go into stores constantly. I'm still like in awe. Like I'll leave it there. I'll let you pick back up, but I'm in awe, of the fact that cannabis is legal in the United States to this day. It blows my mind.
I I honestly agree. And I also got to tell you, like, you have stories, man. Like, that was one of the things that I loved when we met at MJ BizCon, is like, you sat down and you just started telling me stories. And I was like, this guy's got so much information that I got to have him on a show. That's how we clicked up. And let me tell you, I'm not disappointed at all so far. You are.
I literally can go on for days, dude. Like, you know, my friends know me. I'm famous for this. So
yes, no, I love it.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, this is all just life experiences. You know, I've always looked at life as I had 2 older sisters, and they both had weed in the house when I was like 12. And so, you know, I was in their room snagging weed as soon as I found out that pot got you high. Like, my friends got me high, not my sisters, but like, we actually didn't like actually get high the first time we smoked pot. You know, it's just like, it was an exercise in futility, actually. And like, literally behind the elementary school, like, it's like classic, like, storybook stuff. Like, we were 3, me and my best friend, and like the new cool girl who came to our school who had weed, and she went and it didn't work. And then I told my sister that it didn't work, and she's like, well, you know, invite your friends over. Mom and dad are going out tomorrow night. And I was like, really, on a Tuesday night? And she's like, sure. And like we're hiding behind the school, and like, my sister whipped the bong out and right in our living room. And I was like, this is insane. We're going to jail for sure tonight.
How old were you at this point?
I was 12 years old. I was in
my man got started early.
Maybe I
was early.
maybe 13, but I think I was 12. And my 2 best friends came over. They were 13 for sure. They were older. And my sister's husband today's brother is the one who turned us on. And he had, like I said, a little Kodak film vial full of weed. And he brought that open. And my sister knew I was stoned because they took me into the kitchen. And I wasn't a big eater, and I like went crazy. And they're like, okay, he's got the munchies. I had a golden retriever at the time, and my 2 buddies and I were laughing so hard, like straight out of the movie, that we were up on the couch and the dog's barking at us. We ended up on the counter, the dog's barking at us. My middle sister comes home, like, we're stoned out of our minds. I rat to my big sister that my middle sister had stolen some pills from her, and totally, like, my sister beat the crap out of me in front of my 2 best friends. And they will bring that up to this day, that my sister beat me up. So yeah, my first experience with cannabis was quite memorable, you know?
Everybody's always got that first story. You know what I mean? And I know mine was very typical also. Same as like you, like, ended up smoking in the back literally of like a carnival, I think, or something. And that's like the first time I ever tried it. But I got to ask you, I'm looking at you here and I've seen this picture. I've seen a lot of pictures of you, and I got to know, what's the story behind the necklace?
It actually goes back to the Amsterdam. So when I moved out to Washington State, I didn't know a single person. Like, literally, I didn't know one person. And
Risky move.
I started off my entry to the cannabis business is probably like most people's, you know, black market origination. Went to the first High Times Cup and with a buddy of mine, and we were like, we're going to start an extraction business. Let's get some equipment. And we looked around, and my older son was going to be involved and didn't have a big extraction background. So we figured the best way to go would be something kind of simple. So we went with an ethanol extraction, a little shop, and met a guy, and ended up doing installations of this equipment with the company, a little company called Dab Genius, I think it was called. And and we were doing ethanol extraction. It turned out very quickly, oh, wow, this can be used for winterization. And it really took off. And so anyway, I ended up out in Washington and didn't know a single person. Networked my way from knowing one person to knowing a bunch of people, you know, and here I am with, you know, Leaf Magazine, like, was literally like, went to a cannabis event, worst one of all time, called King Cannabis. Yeah, I said that in public, guy. Worst cannabis event I ever went to. And yeah, it was horrible. He's done a lot better. He picked it up and done some interesting events since then. But yeah, it was the worst event. There were like 30 people there, but Leaf Magazines was there also at the end of my row. And I started talking to Wes, the founder of Leaf Magazines. And I tried to bid the magazine because I had a printing company, and that didn't work at all. And then years later, one of my friends calls me up out of the blue and says, hey, I want to get in the pot business. And I said, no, you don't. It's like working at McDonald's. It's a grind. It's not that much fun. They took all the fun out of it when they legalized it. And I said, wait, you know how to write and take pictures. Let's start Maryland Leaf Magazine. I called Wes up and I said, Maryland Leaf Magazine. He loved it. And one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. Started California Leaf, and I started a company called Turk Talk, and we were running around doing video production of pot farms because these companies didn't really know how to, promote themselves, and a good video could really sell some weed in an event. A little tabletop laptop going with a video of your farm. I shot a farm. I think it was called Diamond Farms. It was down in Walla Walla. Biggest cannabis farm in the state of Washington. Literally, it was 3 huge pot farms put together. It was unbelievably huge. Shot the thing, awesome. And this is how I got paid. Got paid in this golden nut from Joe Tacoma. It's made by a company called Daydream Electroform. I think I got that right. And it's a 3.5 gram Blue Dream bud dipped in lead, then dripped in 24 karat gold and encrusted with opals. And
dude, it's like a rapper with that thing on.
Believe me, when I do events, all I have to do is put this around my neck and stand there. And it's like a magnet for conversation. And that's why I have, it's how you network. It is a networking magnet is what it is.
It is. It's a great like ice breaking piece. You know what I mean? Because I'm going through your pictures on Instagram before I had you on, and I seen this thing in so many pictures. And only I can think of it. First time I got you on, I'm like, I gotta ask him about the chain. What's the deal with this thing? Why is he rocking this shit like he's about to spit some bars or drop a new mixtape soon? Like, I want to know the deal.
I actually am a performer. I do.
Wait, time the fuck out. You're a performer too?
Yeah, I had an act. It was called Samadhi Sounds. It was an electronic live EDM performance, is what it was. There's a band called Yodo. I think they're no longer performing either. They were a spinoff from String Cheese Incident. Michael Travis and Jason Hahn, and I was
the String Cheese Incident.
Yeah, they're really, believe it or not. See, it's funny. Like, it's really weird. There's a big lapse between the jam band world and the cannabis world. Although everybody in the cannabis world, everybody in the jam band world is in the cannabis world. I can promise you that 98%. But the cannabis world doesn't know about the jam band world. It's a very interesting thing. And our bands have crazy names: String Cheese Incident, Disco Biscuits, Sound Type, Sector 9, Animal Liberation Orchestra, just to name a few, Those are
very creative.
Yeah. I used to do electronic dubstep, basically. I have a whole bass rig I built, and it will live again. Now I'm in Spokane, actually. This is very interesting. So I am a part owner of a company called Bodhi High. This is our logo up there. And we're a cannabis extractor. We make vape carts, all types of dabs, BHO, launching a rosin line, do fused pre-rolls, full scale, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a month in sales, like legit cannabis company. We have a big staff, lots of people. We have 6 artists that work for us, that are DJs. My conversations at work are, hey, I'm doing a Friday night show. You want to come to that? Or do you want to come to my Saturday night show? So it's really cool. Sick. And Bodhi High is going to throw an event. We're going to do a rave. Is that a word? God,
I gotta come down for this thing. I gotta come to the rave, whatever it is.
Come to the Bodhi party, man. Yeah. Or come out, we're going to be throwing a Leaf Bowl in Massachusetts hopefully this year. And, we'd love to have you there and have a presence and, participate in that.
Massachusetts is right above me.
Yeah.
Right there.
We're trying to figure out what to do with Northeast Leaf now. the markets are emerging and they're changing. And
Oh, very much.
so we started with Northeast Leaf because we figured, well, it's a great way to cover the whole darn thing. But now Massachusetts is its own entity, and Maine's becoming an entity, and New York's going to become a thing. And, we're getting there. It's really happening. So the Leaf wants to grow with these markets and give each one of them their voice so that they can, so that we can feature Bud Tender of the Month in New York and the best weed we can find. And, Danny Danko's holding that down for us and, is awesome. And another veteran of the High Times crew. So we've just been super blessed to get these people to work with us. And, I'm actually was talking to my partner today that we're going to hopefully, talk with Cheech and Chong, and they're going to start having a monthly column in the magazine. If I can will it, it's going to happen. So
I know I've seen them featured on the cover of an issue, at least more
this
than
month.
once at this point. Yeah.
You heard it first here that we're going to, I don't know if I can make it happen, but I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. I'd love to have our voice in our magazine. It'd be
that'd be dope, man. That'd be dope. Cheech. I mean, that's like the standard of Cheech and Chong. I mean, who else would you not want to get on there, but other than Cheech and Chong? That's it. That's it.
To me, is that 70s stoner. It is it's everything to me. The fact that they were on the cover. I'll be straightforward. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know how it happened. I had my head deep into hash rosin lab construction and pre-roll building and all that kind of stuff. My partners are amazing people and have done some great things, and I'm blessed, just very blessed in general to be where I am in the cannabis game, coming to Washington, knowing no one, and people talk about Washington being a terrible market. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a fun market. You don't get bored out here,
Yeah. I mean, that's key though. That's key. So you out here, you were doing print since you were young, and now you're in print. You're co-publisher for Northeast, for Maryland, and just the list goes on. Yeah, California also, and that's a pretty big deal, man. I mean, that's a pretty awesome gig. How'd you get hooked up with them? Was that just the whole interaction at the show when you guys met up with them, and that's the whole thing because you're what?
Being a printing salesperson is, for a career, you have to network yourself because you can sell printing to the 7-Eleven or the high school or the church or the, aeronautics engineering company. I mean, there is no limit to who you can sell printing to. And so you have to learn how to network yourself. And, I mastered the art of networking fairly young and used it when I moved out here to it's a little creepy. I'll be honest. It's a little stalking. You identify who are the players in a market and you network your way to them, and it started for me, with meeting, this is actually a fairly funny story. Bodhi High, when I heard about them, they had the best, BHO in the state when I first got out here. And I was like, oh, there's this guy, Sam. And I got involved with the grow and I screwed it up. I had some really bad weed and it was totally worthless on the market, but it was a good strain, but it seeded out. And I was able to reach out to Bodhi High and they extracted it for me. And I was like, okay, beginning of a friendship and, or a business relationship actually. And, that one thing led to another. And then I'm working with Leaf magazines years later and I go to pick up Concentrated of the Month from Bodhi High. And, we start talking and I'm like, hey, I'm starting a CBD business. And we start a CBD business out of a conversation because he had done CBD work before and it didn't really take off. And we had a basis for Sakaya Wellness, Bodhi High, Bodhi Elements, and things roll. And it's you can't be afraid. I mean, it's my advice to people, entrepreneurs is can't be afraid to try. The only mistake you can ever make in business is not trying, and,
Absolutely.
If you're willing to put yourself out there and give it your all, that's the other thing, don't be afraid to try and got to give it your all. And at the end of the day, you can't fail because even if it's a total failure, you still have the experience. And that is invaluable. So even a total failure is a win because you can't lose because you have experience, and experience is life. It's why I'm sitting here talking to you right now, because I've piled up lots and lots of experiences.
Well, speaking of piling things up, right now you've piled on co-publisher of 3 magazines. You working with Bodhi High, Sakaya Wellness. How do you manage to balance all that and still like have time for experiences?
They're all networked together. Honestly, it's all one seamless flow. Drives my business partner absolutely. My business partner in Bodhi High, absolutely insane, because he's very paper oriented. When we do something, there's an action plan. I've learned a lot from him. And, one of the things I love is that I'm 62 years old and I'm still growing and learning every single day. You wouldn't believe my typical day for me is packaging material all day and fielding emails and calls of importance. I do all my emails at 6:30 in the morning on a exercise bike, or on a walker. I just sit there. Believe me, 20 minutes goes by beautifully fast. Junk, garbage, valid response, move on. I'm not real wordy. Believe it or not,
I love it.
As wordy as I am in person and email, I am unwordy.
Unwordy, I like that.
Unwordy. But I had a really unique education. I've spent 6 years in a military school, and then I basically threatened to run away and live with my sister's boyfriends, Tom, Dick, and Harry, we called them. They were hippies in Columbus, Ohio. And so my parents took me dead serious because I was serious, and I was going to go live on the farm with them. My sister was 18. She could have taken me on as her, my legal guardian. I had thought it all out. And I made that move, and my parents got me into the super liberal arts school called Park School that still exists. And it was like no other school that exists. We were open classrooms. You got to choose your teachers. It was unreal. So I had a really amazing education that taught me how to be super dedicated, but a free thinker at the same time. So it's a dangerous combination. And I've learned early that if you manifest anything hard enough and put your energy towards it, it comes true. And so I just manifest like crazy, and that's how I do it. And I manage my time. I delegate. I've learned how to delegate. I have some kids. They're really helpful. My younger son, Wyatt, runs my printing company fully for me and runs a whole division of our magazine. The Maryland Leaf is single-handedly handles the whole thing. And my other son was with the Oregon Leaf for years and, really did an amazing job there. And it's all about managing, having people that are good, and so you can step back and, step back in when you need to. So, I'm terrible with people personally. Like as an employee, I almost got fired yesterday for being insubordinate. So
come on, dude, come on.
No bull, for real. And I deserved it. I'm not going to lie. I was insubordinate because, it's hard to be an employee and an owner at the same time in a company. It's a challenging position,
Yeah, that's tough.
I basically ratted out some people today, and they knew I ratted them out, and they basically called me on it not to my face, but they're like, "Yeah, how come we have this new thing got instituted today?" And it was me, but I'm an owner, and I can't let my employees walk over me. That's
right.
business.
No, absolutely, you have to. You're the boss. You know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just how it comes down to.
It's interesting, but yeah, I love building businesses. I love creating equity. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, who doesn't?
Equity is awesome. It's the Leaf thing is very challenging. We're constantly challenged. It's not an easy game at all. Publishing, printing's not primary thought in most people's marketing campaign anymore, except for it's so hard to advertise your cannabis brand. So we have an advertiser in Maryland, Curio. Now they go by Far and Daughter, an amazing company that is owned by somebody from the pharmaceutical sales point of view. They had owned chains of drugstores, and then they entered the cannabis business very pharmaceutically, very, very impressive group. And yeah, I mean, like, there's so many different levels of entry into the cannabis game and so many different ways to do it. And, it's like, it's hard, like, to be like a cool stoner owner. Like, like we have a column in the book we used to called Stoner Owner, and being one now, I got to tell you, it's probably one of the greatest challenges of my life,
That's awesome,
So,
man.
yeah.
Sounds like you're really doing it out there, and I'm just super happy for you. I just, your whole life is filled with so many of these experiences you talk about living for, and I just think that it's awesome that you're still killing it, even at 62, just out here doing it. You're deep into cannabis, you're making things happen, you're trying to do things for the better, and I just think that's fucking awesome. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you in Vegas. It was even more awesome talking to you here and learning so much about you and your life, and it's just so awesome. I just want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys want to check him out, Canna Forever 420 on Instagram. You can find more about Bodhi High, Leaf Magazines, Sakaya Wellness, all of that right from his Instagram. It's just so awesome. Any last words before I let you go, man?
Let's not forget about the glass community, last and not least. They're a really like struggling part of our community right now that is trying to keep alive. And, please save your monies and go buy that heady piece of glass you always wanted to smoke, that heady dab or a killer flower, because without them, we got nothing killer to smoke out of, So that's my
true.
last.
I'm a bong smoker myself, so.
Yeah, no one in particular, but remember the heady glass artists out there, please, because they're really a big part of our community, and we have to support them like they're, because without them, we don't have any of this fun stuff,
Right. 100%, man. Awesome words to leave off on. Support your heady glass makers. 100% for sure. Thanks so much, Early, for coming on, man. Appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your night. We will talk sooner. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
It's amazing the things you learn about people. I just love talking to people. That's why we met up at MJ BizCon. Dude just sat down across from me and we just started bullshitting about our dogs and all the shit he does. And I was like, this guy's fucking interesting. And that's sick. Gonna be, Donna says, speaking of heady glass, shout out to the Bong Father at Special K Glass. There you go. Shout out your favorite glass maker in the comments. I'll post them on the screen. 100%. We will be back next week. You guys already know the deal. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I believe Chef Goop will be making his return next week, promoting some new stuff. They got some new drops for Sage Tree, so he's going to stop on through, maybe bring some empanadas. Who knows? So stay tuned. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/2BBlunt Podcast. That's the number 2, BEBLUNT podcast.com. You can always go to YouTube and just search for @2BBlunt Podcast, and you'll find us. Subscribe and ding the notification bell so you know every time we are live. And make sure you guys also follow us on Instagram @2BBlunt Podcast. Which goes without saying, as right on the screen it says on all platforms. Oh boy. I love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Donna, so much for the compliment. You already know. I will see you guys next week. Same weed time. Same weed channel.